How does 4T's work? The Student Excel, the Express Portal Career and Entrepreneurship Programs. How does 4T's work? This Student Excel program is designed for high school students, presented to the students from faculty, the teachers, principal, about this program and what it's designed to do. And it's designed to help them complete their education, support the school in helping their students complete their education, then establish a career and start a business, if they choose to start a business. Business ownership and entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. So for the Student Excel program in particularly, is designed to help them reconnect to education and see the value of education. See how it correlates to the real world. See how it applies to the real world and employment. That's the idea. The student signs up for the Student Excel program. They fill out the necessary forms and applications. Included in the forms and applications is a niche component of 4T's, which is called CPE, Career Preparation Evaluation Form, which we'll get to in the latter form of questions. And this form helps us identify what that student is naturally good at, what that student naturally excels in. Not necessarily in coursework, but in life. We collect that information, and then based upon that data that we collect, we then formulate and form or design workshops around the skills that these students possess. So it'll be a workshop, for example, of a student that naturally excels in numbers, mathematics, anything related to numbers. So you say financial management or accounting. We would then form what's called a workshop around that field, where we have a facilitator who's an accountant, a facilitator who's a financial analyst, financial planner, things of that sort, that will share with these students the intricate details and the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and all that pertinent information in that field. So that way that student is exposed to that information, which is something that lines up with something that they naturally do anyway and have been naturally excelling in anyway, in order to determine, yeah, this is what I want to do. Nah, this isn't what I thought it would be. But you're saying the perfect scenario, the student comes up and says, this is what I wanted to do. Fantastic. Excellent. Great. And by that, part of the criteria is that they show up on time for the workshops and that they're engaged in the workshops. And then the facilitator will log that student's engagement and their arrival time, all of these of which is soft skills, or one of which showing up on time and engaging to an extent, soft skills. And then provide that report to 4T's administration office, where we collect that data. And then, based on that information, the next phase of the program will be what's called the WCE. And the WCE stands for Workplace Competency Environment. It's sort of like a job study, work study, internship, job shadowing. Think of it like that. The difference being that this student is strategically placed in this company or organization that is in some way, shape, or form part of 4T's network, whereas their placement is in a specific department relative to their skills assessment that was determined that they're or confirmed that they're naturally good in. So they would sit in an accounting department or a financial planning department. Again, the connection is made in various ways through the facilitator of that workshop, right? The student is placed there based on the connections of the facilitator of that workshop. So just leave it at that, not to get too complicated. And they will be there for a period of time, 4 weeks, right, a month, to sit under the job shadow, as it were, right? Not fetching coffee, not making copies, not filing papers, but actually being involved in the actual process of this department in whatever capacity that is, that exposes them to an actual environment that consists of what they naturally excel in. I hope that makes sense, right? And then again, the criteria is that they show up on time, that in this case, because they're in the work environment, that they're dressed appropriately, and that they're engaged in the job itself, participating, engaging to the level of engagement that they can be in that environment, in meetings or in discussions, and whatever else that entails related to the development of their skill set, their professional skill set. Now, after 4 weeks, the contact at that company who they shadowed will provide a report to 4T's stating the student showed up on time, they were dressed, they were engaged, they did a great job. We then collect that data, and at the end of the year, I forgot a component as well, but at the end of the year, before I go there, let me say this. At the beginning of the workshop, part of the paperwork that's included is a report on their GPA from the previous year, which is grade point average. So we make a note of their grade point average when they started the school year, and then at the end of the program, once they've completed the workplace competency environment, job shadowing, that nature, we have a meeting with the teacher, the 4T's administrator, representative, and the student, and evaluate what their experience was in the program. And a part of that evaluation will be looking at their GPA. And the idea is just being exposed to the workshops and exposed to the workplace competency, they'll then begin to look at their education from a different perspective, to an extent, see the value in their education, and therefore, as a result, increase their grade point average, because now they're seeing the value of it. And they're exposed to the real world and realize that the real world is serious and why their education is important. And that's the impression that we want to have on this young person in this program. And that's part of the discussion that will happen at the end of the school year. Whereas that GPA is looked at, and we can see the idea, perfect world, is that their grade point average has increased. And then we'll compare that to the other students who weren't in the program and can make an effective determination on what type of impact this program has had on that student. Also in that meeting is a thorough meeting, some of which I'll address here, but also what was the student's impression of the program? Or what does the student feel the program was missing? What should the program include that would have them engage more, do better, right? And then obviously teachers and facilitators will share with the student what they need to improve in as well, where they fell short and things of that nature. So at the end of the program, that student is left with an impression, a new experience, more information, and a different perspective, a more positive, a more focused perspective on where they want their life to be and how they want it to go, or quite possibly change their mind on what they thought they wanted. All these factors play a role. And that's the Student Excel program. That's how the Student Excel program works in relation to how 4T's works.